Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how did you know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Dan.
How you doing, Jen? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm doing pretty fantastic today. Before we dive into today's episode, which is a very important topic, and I think a wonderful topic that we need to be discussing, it's all about the kids. Before we dive into that, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow the channel. We now have human design gear that you can order.
Get your gear.
Get your gear. And I got the alert. Ours are being shipped, so we should have them sometime this week. I'm super excited about that.
Nice.
And then also, I wanted to share really quick. We had a wonderful review from Dan this week by Lee. So I just want to play a small clip on that. Did you have something?
No, awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We should put up more clips. We should do like the weekend review or whoever I spoke to that week.
I'm definitely trying to get that incorporated. But Lee did an excellent review, so I'm just going to show a small clip on that real quick.
And it can really narrow things down and make it very simple for you, so you're not freaking out. Because one of the problems that we have in this world is we think we have to be everyone else. But once you understand your human design, then you realize you don't have to be everyone else, and you get to just be you, and you get to be your highest you. And so my suggestion is just get it done.
Just get it done.
Just get it done, and it's perfect. It's perfect to roll in today's topic, which is all about the human design of kids. And not just you getting your chart done, but also getting your children's charts done as well, because something
really cool that occurs to me with that is it seems daunting sometimes if you're not sure if you want to have your own human design read, right? Mm-hmm. You can be, but this is the human design of children, all children. If you're born, you have a design. So it's the whole knowing it part might make it easier for moms and dads to want to know about their kids. And, not worry so much about themselves at first. It's just another way in.
Yes. And that's beautifully well put, because I think a lot of parents, myself included, when I first found out I was pregnant, I got that one book. I can't remember what it was called, but every mom that had gotten pregnant had it. It was a manual, and after you have the baby, parents want to know about their children. And I think it's important that we are doing this topic, as well as, me doing the 28-day goddess thing. It's in alignment with that energy. She's all about mother birth and childbirth, and that's what the theme is. And at the end of the day, it's all about the kids. How can we help the kids? And kids lose themselves. We're deconditioning. We get lost because we're put into a place that tells us that we're all the same, and we're not all the same.
It's just so true, Jen. So I think that basically the big reason for parents to want to do this is because we get to everything. Imagine a kid, they're born and they're a single definition generator, and everything else is open in them. They just have two centers, and the parent wants to know what's that going to mean for that child. And they'll be able to come in and start to recognize, oh, I can't quite stop this kid from doing X, Y, or Z. Or, oh, I have to ask them questions starting at a young age that are formed in the yes-no format. And oh, I need a little practice at that. I'm not so good at asking yes no questions because we don't ask yes no questions very easily often. We often ask, big
More
questions.
complex questions.
Yeah, with why. Why'd
Yes,
you do that?
why? I'm the
Why'd you-
why person.
Huh?
I'm always why.
Yeah, why?
But
Why? Yeah, right. Why is okay to ask questions to oneself and just sort of in the world, but if you want to get at the truth and you're talking to a generator, just literally ask yes, no, so they can hear their responses, and so they don't know that about their kids. So the thing I always tell people when I'm reading for them, and anyone who's listening who I've read for, you'll recognize this. I pointed out to you that there's your child. You yell out the window to the kid, it's like, hey, do you want to come in now? And they go, and it's like at that moment you can literally start to recognize the profundity of the energy use of that being having just told you their truth and you not stopped them. Well, oh yeah, let's show parents how to look up their chart.
Well, I didn't mean to. I was just getting it ready. Didn't mean to
Oh,
distract.
okay. Yeah, and these are things that parents need to know. There's 4 types out there. Oh, my child's a manifester. What's that going to mean to me? It's so simple. You'll see. And this is Jennifer. At the base of all of this, what we're trying to do is get a generation of children whose neural expansion, their cognitive development in those early ages, isn't shut down through homogenizing, and shut down to a nice dull roar, which ain't so nice. We want it expanding wildly like the child itself is. Their neural development is meant to expand it, synonymous to what it looks like they're expanding. I mean, they keep getting bigger. They never get smaller. They always get bigger. And this so does their expansion. And what is neural expansion? So for all the parents out there, we want our children to literally allow everything that is going to be the ease in their cognitive development, the way in which they'll take in information that becomes easy for them, such that they can incorporate it and spit it back out into something that's intelligent, that's an outer authority, that's something that they feel like doing and that they're good at. All of that stuff comes so clear to them as their neural development isn't expansion, as the expansion of their neural development isn't stunted at a young age. It starts a lot with food. It starts first with food.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And so we can go into that too. So if we take a look at your kid, I'll be able to look up what their dietary regimen is. And you'll be so surprised to find out, oh my God, I've been doing this and this. And you'll change it and you'll watch the change in your children. It's not about what they eat per se. And it doesn't mean you have to, stop getting really good food or get extra special something. It's just in the way in which you feed them. Mm-hmm. There's a way. Some kids are consecutive, one after another. So you don't mix up their food. It's so stupid. And the cognition between the brain going in and literally pulling out the nutrition that's needed for its expansion. The body is so wise, it knows the circumstances and the conditions under which we eat, not so much what we eat, as it relates to, oh, they need some of this, some of that. They need some green, they need some yellow, they need some orange, whatever. It's the circumstances and the conditions under which they eat. There are 6 of them. It's so very stupid simple, but it's so very profound. And a mom or dad can see that and they can suddenly, oh my God, I had no idea. And I would invite any parent that wanted to even experiment to watch how human design saves the neural development of your child and to become basically what we would consider, incredibly intelligent. With those people out there that we know are incredibly intelligent, it's like, oh my God, that person, they're onto something. They're very, very smart. You can just tell, but we don't apply that to everyone. Well, I would like a whole generation of children that we apply that to all of them, because they all have it as a potential. And the experiment that you would see as a mom or a dad or both is you would witness, oh, I started trying this on one day, and before that day was over, my child was different, more well-adjusted. By the time 2 and 3 days went by, oh my God, it doesn't want to go back. It spits the food out if I don't do it the way that it wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you can start this at
0 out of the womb, because that's when the conditioning starts. The conditioning starts essentially from the moment they're out of the womb. As as a pretend more and more as a few days go by and then they get home, they get in an environment within that first week, the conditioning is taking place, and it's mostly centered around food and environment, and of course everything else. If mom and dad are super tense, then we want to read for them too, so that they can start to relax amongst each other. But the children, you can look at their design, you can look at that beautiful picture, and suddenly everything comes clear at what that child is not. Suddenly you can start to witness how they deliver you what's true to them. And then it won't take long before you start realizing, I don't want to take away what's true for them. Where if you didn't know that before, you'd be like, I want my child to fit these rules. And suddenly that desire for them to fit rules goes away, because you already know that's confusing. Every parent will know that that is confusing by virtue of having watched it get unconfused. Is by seeing their chart and suddenly, oh, they're this way and they're not the other. They're not any other way. You know, I want my kid to be super focused. Oh, well, they have 3 or 4 of their arrows in their cognition are to the right. So, you know, they're not always going to be focused the way you want them to focus. Maybe you can stop wanting that and watch the gift that comes out when you pull from them.
Let them flourish into what they are, and not what you want them to be.
Right. And so that is just so profoundly shown on their chart. It's their manual. In my day, Jen, it was I say in my day, for my mom, it was Dr. Spock. I don't know. I never read the guy's. No, I never read the guy's book. He was a dude that said something about, you know, basically the definitive way to care for your child by Dr. Spock. And apparently all throughout the 50s and 60s and maybe into the 70s, you know, it was, you know, everyone had that damn book.
The Common Sense Book of Baby and Child Care.
By Dr. Spock?
Yeah, by Dr. Spock.
Yeah, that was very confusing because I was like, is that the same
I
Spock that's on
remember
Star
that
Trek?
book. I think my mom had that book on her shelf too, now that I'm looking at it.
It was definitely on the New York Times bestseller list, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, this is Human Design is the manual. Like, we don't.
This is the manual. Had Dr. Spock
book.
had this, or the author of your book had the one that you referred to had this information, everything would be different. You looking up the author of yours?
I'm looking at what it is.
While you're doing that, I'll keep talking, okay, Jen?
Go ahead.
So, of all the things that you can find on your
what to expect when you're expecting.
Oh, is that that's what's hot now?
That's what it was when I was at 18 years ago, was what to expect when you were expecting.
Yeah. What to expect when you're expecting. You will dilate and have a child. After that, read their design and close that book.
Yes, right.
Essentially, yes.
Forget everything that you knew.
Forget it all from the past. Incorporate it into your distinctiveness, you know what I mean? But disregard in favor of how your child is physically designed. So at the moment of your kid's birth, you can see all of this. Have a designated time counter handy. Even if it's your husband, have him, even though you're squeezing his hand really tight and about to break his knuckles or whatever, still make sure he's got a Surrey clock somewhere so you can get the time, preferably to the second, so we can read their base all the way up through the tone, through the color, into the line, into the hexagram. Now, for those of you who have no idea what I just said, don't sweat it. It's just how we get to what is it how they're supposed to eat. They have a very specific dietary regimen, and it ensures cognitive stability and neural expansion all the way up through 5 to 7 years of age. Currently, neural expansion, hang on one second. Currently, neural expansion curtails around age 3, 2.5 to 3. We have no idea what we're missing in those next 3 years. None. It's striking. What's the question?
Thank you, Lee, for joining us today. I might have missed it, but how do we know what to implement in their diet by using human design?
I think we're going to get on to that as we move forward into these into the aspects of this show and future shows. I'm almost thinking that what's going on with the kids could be a part every week.
We've been playing or talking, not playing with the idea. It's something that we want to do, but Sunday shows we feel are going to be moving more into kids, family friendly. It's important that we do get this information to the parents and to the kids, because this is a great way. This is how we're going to start learning how to live. Even for those who don't really realize it yet, but and then Wednesday shows, and then shows after that will be more adult friendly. So definitely.
The first time a parent sees someone else using human design to raise their kid, everyone in the neighborhood's going to want to take a look at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the things that parents want to see will start happening. Colicky children, not so much. Trips to the doctor, ear infection, sinus problems, adenoids removed, yada, 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 not so much. Kids' weight, body fat, all that good stuff, health, pretty good. You know, their poopies look good. You know what I mean? Everything's working good, and stuff. So,
well, because, and that's a whole separate show we can talk about. Illnesses or disease is dis-ease in the body, and this is
right.
really showing you how to allow your child to flourish and bloom the way that he is designed, or they are designed to do. So they should have less dis-ease in the body.
Yes. Think about it. In any lifetime, from any moment, even now, Jen, you and I, something happens right now. As soon as it's little and we see it now, if we don't do anything, it always grows. The beast always grows. So think about your kid the same way. Started out from the very beginning. Imagine the depths of their way through this life, of their cognition, of their valuing themselves, of their not having depression, anxiety, nervousness, the ADHD stuff, which is sort of not even a thing, believe it or not, and on. All of it goes so far down and non-existent as this child is raised according to their design. Furthermore, you'll have so much reward, mom and dad. You will feel like nothing ever before. All the worry, the dread, the stuff that goes on inside your heart where you don't know what's next. Well, you still won't know what's next, but it'll leave worry and dread and turn into joy and the hopefulness of what happens when you're looking into the future, realizing my kid is fucking awesome. Excuse my mouth. My kid is awesome. And dang.
Well, they are.
Yep,
No,
and they are. Yep, and I lost my track on that one, but yeah, my child is just awesome, and oh my God, it's so much easier this way. And oh my God, there's an easy set of rules, and since they're so baked into the program, now I know what to do. Half of the anxiety of a parent is they do something, and then suddenly they don't get the exact result that they thought they were looking for, and suddenly there becomes a dissonance inside of them, and it's an energy that's negative. It's not so good. They're being torn inside. Every parent knows what this is. It's not like you turn into an axe murderer. That's not the point. Or you turn into a bad parent. That's not the point. It's just, why have this being pulling you apart inside with the smallest little mundane things when suddenly you can realize as a great big macro whole, I can see everything that this child is and is going to be. All I have to do is pave the way for it. That's all I have to do.
And I'm going to say something on this because, human design, it does incorporate some astrology in there. It's not all astrology, but this is a tribal thing. This is not anything new. This is what tribal communities did. That's why they created astrology. The Mayans would do this with their children. The Chinese did this. This is, they wanted to keep track because they would allow the child, when it came into the world, be able to grow and develop according to why they're here.
Right. And the thing is, we are so lucky in this world, even though things are getting difficult, but we're lucky because we have this ability to physically stare in on our child and witness what the heck they're doing. Sometimes we can take long spells where we're not out hunting and gathering to just witness and observe our child. And you will observe everything from picture the generator child. If the baby comes out there a generator, you can give them ABC blocks, but don't ask them to necessarily recite what the ABCs are. Ask them to, you'll watch them pound on the ABC blocks. Generators need to generate out their little baby generative energy. Let them squeeze your finger a lot. Try and see if they can hold themselves up by squeezing your finger a little bit. Don't push them to walk too soon, obviously, or anything like that, because of joints and knees and all that stuff. But all I'm getting at is let them use their muscles to try and exert energy. That's all they want to do. Picture a kid that's so excited, just wants to, right?
Yes.
That look of a kid. Picture that inside your generator child. They need to act that out from the moment they come out of the womb. And so whatever child appropriate version that is at whatever age, mom and dad are the perfect stewards to know what that is. I don't know what that is, but they will.
I'm going to pop Savannah on real quick.
Oh, Savannah, what do you got to say about that?
Savannah's got four generators.
Yeah, I have 4 generator kids, and so just like getting their energy out was like a really big deal. I feel like all kids have energy, but
they do.
Mm-hmm.
Up through about 7, all children will sort of act out what the generator is, but I'm speaking specific to the generator infant right when they come out, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you going to say, Savannah?
Oh, I just remember you telling me projector children, they need more like analytical toys, like a puzzle, or I mean, all kids love puzzles, but for a projector, that would probably be really feed them, and they really enjoy it.
I'm thinking they don't all love puzzles necessarily. I'm thinking play with it, mom and dad. Find the various things. You'll see that, Savannah, you're right. The projector child needs more of the mastery of systems. Keep this phrase, the mastery of systems. Keep that in mind as you're choosing what you're going to put in their crib and give to them. You know what I mean? So if you're going to give them a rattle, give them like one that's on a keychain with 3 or 4 or 5 of them so they can master which one they like the most. That's a system. The generator, you can give them a ball, and they'll just bounce on it all day long or whatever. Or, you'll give them different things. They'll do different things with it, is what I'm getting at. The generator child will take that little key ring of things and smash it all over the place. And who knows, they'll throw it out the crib and ask you to come get it. But the projector child is going to want to look into that thing and find out what the hell, what's going on, what's the scoop. And so give it blocks that spin with different letters on it. Give it, what else? It's been a while since I had a kid. So what's that? What's on deck these days?
I was also going to ask Jen, because you manifester, right? Like, what was it like for you as a child? Because I have a sister who was a manifester, and she's just a year older than me. And so I've heard sometimes manifestors can struggle with like people pleasing, or they can be made to feel bad, because manifestors are like to initiate, and they can be what's the word I'm looking for?
They can be like,
they know what they want to do, and they are very, I can't think of the word. Like,
headstrong. They're very headstrong.
And so I'm kind of curious to know what your experience was like as a manifestor child growing up.
A couple of things. Now that I know about my design, it makes complete sense why things have happened to me in my lifetime. I'm a 5'1" manifestor. So I was bullied as a child from 2nd grade to 6th grade. And I went to a private school. So the same people I was in 2nd grade stayed with me all the way up to 5th grade. We were all in the same classroom. So that Heretic Investigator, that Heretic really started to do a play. But I also became, you're spot on. Like, I would say something and everybody else would want to do that. And that sort of was like a theme in my life. And I became the child, especially when I got into my teens and I was rebelling. The parents were calling my mom and saying, my child can't hang around your child because she's a bad influence. I wasn't influencing them. I was doing my own thing. I never said that I was wanting them to do it. I was informing, and they would be like, oh, I'm going to go do it too. And they would do it. And sometimes I wasn't even with them when they do it, but it was like I was influencing them.
That's funny, Jennifer. Not your fault. And awake parents can talk to each other and say, hey, your awake manifestor kid sometimes makes my kid almost break his leg. So that makes me nervous. Now they can have that conversation.
Yeah, well, my mom would recognize, she would tell the parents, Jennifer wasn't even with your daughter when that happened. So it's, my mom would defend me. But
You impacted them, Jen. You didn't need to be with them.
Right. But what
Yep.
I'm learning, like, now that I'm doing my deconditioning, a lot of the stuff that happened to me when I was a child, especially getting ostracized or the bullying, had put me in a bubble for a long time where I kept comparing. Became the people pleaser. I forgot how to inform. It was always, oh, I got to do what the other person does because of the what I
Backlash.
would get in the backlash, what I would get in return. Where now I'm learning that, oh, I did that when I was younger, and this is what happened. Okay, I can see how my design is working. Now I need to
It
work.
got taken away from you, is what
It
you're
did.
saying. Yeah.
It did.
So, and notice when you were a child, it was coming out naturally, and then it got taken away.
Naturally.
The neural expansion.
Even
Go ahead.
when I was younger, when I was about 5, I started doing flips off the high dive and jumping in the pool because I was a water baby. And there were other kids that wanted to do the same thing, but being a manifestor, I guess I was activating them and they were just, oh, she did, I'm going to do it.
Right. Think of the definition of what these auras of ours do. The manifestor is designed to impact things. The rest of the world follows in the wake of that impact. So you initiate whatever that is, you leave an impact, and that was playing out on a micro level with a pile of kids. It's perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. And if mom and dad are afraid of that flip, they can tell their kid you can't do it, but they're going to have a hard time, of course. Kids got to be kids.
Yes, I was either high dive or in a tree.
Yeah,
because the manifestors are the initiators of the boss babe, right? Like they know what they want to do and they know how they're going to do it, and like don't get in my way. Like I'm,
essentially, right. And that's why if you're the parent of a manifestor child from the youngest age, and Lee, we're slowly but surely answering every one of your questions. Actually, we're starting to answer your question, shall I say? The manifestor kid, think about what they need. They come out as an infant. First, we want to know their dietary regimen. So we know, are you feeding them calm or are you feeding them nervous? You're feeding them hot or cool? How are you feeding them? Daylight, nighttime, loud, soft, consecutive, alternating. There's one more consistent. I forgot the name of it. So think about after we tell them that, then we get to tell them what their child's manifestor type is going to be like. Jennifer, you could have been left alone almost all of the time. And as long as you were kept safe, you'd have been all right. Every time you needed to make an impact, you would have been over informing mom and dad what the impact is you'd like to make on them right now. Knock, knock, knock. I'd like to make this impact on you. And there you are at 3.5 with a couple of words, and you can show this many fingers, and that's your impact. Until then, they don't need to helicopter over you. None of us needed to be helicoptered over, but manifestors definitely don't helicopter over them. Just make the boundary bigger and bigger and bigger so that they don't bounce up against the boundary, and then leave them alone. Same thing with a baby. The manifestor baby will just be staring out there and having their own thing. They're not bored. They don't know what boring means. They're just a baby. And suddenly everyone comes over and starts getting in their stuff, breaking through that closed and repelling aura, and the baby has no choice. That's a little bit criminal. If you ask me, that's not a lot different than when going on a date and the girl says no, except the baby can't say no. Now can they? And so Auntie comes over and squinches its cheeks, and Nana comes over and picks him up and gives him a big hug. Well, now you can start to look, does my child want that right now? You'll know it'll struggle. Watch your manifestor baby try and I don't know, I don't want it. And suddenly you put them back down, they'll be happy.
It makes me think of how a lot of times children, they know their boundaries, but then the kids try to enforce them, but the parents are like, no, we need to be nice. You give them a hug, and like you're saying, I've heard them say manifestor auras are very protective and repelling. Yes. And so they probably don't like people in their up in their face, in their space, and making them do something they don't want to do. And so that would be really unhealthy for a manifestor child, is forcing them to do things that they don't feel comfortable with.
Exactly. And letting them show you that by how they'll resist you. They will resist your resistance. They will resist your. And how about this for the parents of a manifestor child? You're not doing anything wrong. Your kid doesn't not love you.
It's such an important topic that we
Yeah.
need to talk about, because
Well, we're here to talk.
that's I came across a post not that long ago when I was a child, and I'll be honest on this, and I know it's kid friendly, but I had someone that kept me in constraints when I was young.
Right.
Not in a good way, but there were time periods where I would be introduced to that and be forced to be nice to someone that I didn't want to be nice to. And a lot that is especially here in the South, especially, family, that you've got to either be nice to that uncle or auntie or whatever. We need to
Right.
break out of that condition. Your
Yeah.
child knows
They know.
when something is not right. It doesn't matter if aunt whoever or uncle whoever or grandpa, you should never make your child do that. And the more that parents speak out about that, the post that I read, the mom spoke out about it, and it was against her father, and the father kicked her out of the home. Well, we need more of that, because children know we need to have these sensitive topics because the kids know.
Yep. No, I'm totally with you on that. When you get I was thinking about, so the one thing a manifestor child does need to be taught is manners. They need to be taught manners so that they can learn to ask permission later. You can inform someone what you're going to do, but if you know it's going to impact them, you're not just going to inform them, hey, I'm going to clean out the bank account now because I'm buying a car. Well, that's a joint bank account. That's more than, you don't just inform on that. The manners say ask permission, but the manifestor themselves, the further and further they go away from their nature, might just literally go do that anyways. So kids learn to ask permission, the manifestor, and that's part of the manners. In that asking permission, they also learn yes, please, and thank you, and some standard manners, generally speaking, and then they're given a great wide berth. And they're not forced to say please and thank you to the one thing like you're talking about. There are certain circumstances where the parent would know, oh, no, I'm not going to make my kid do that. Kid says, I'm not doing it. It's not like the manifestor can't respond like a generator and say they don't like it. It's not like the projector can't do the same, or any other kid. They can say they like or don't like something. That's, you got to listen to it. Point being that for the manifestor, you just teach them some manners. And as soon as they're 16 or 15 to 18, they'll stop asking and they'll start informing. And then they start living their adult life. Usually most manifestors want to start living their adult life pretty soon.
Oh, I did.
Yep. Can't blame them.
Because our manifestors just inherently more independent
Yep.
than the other types.
Yep. Don't tell me what to do, basically. And it's about the resistance, Savannah. So your manifestor infant, everything you do with that manifestor infant, they're going to receive it as welcomed or resistance. And they'll receive it that way at a very deep level, even if they're only, a week old. Doesn't matter how old they are. They know what chemistry is going on inside of them, and they either like it or they don't. And so you can watch for that. You can watch for when you're not supposed to be doing a thing, but manifestor children and early teens and stuff like that, you got to let that kid cut their own teeth. Young manifestor adults, just make sure that they got given the lessons so that when they're out in the world at a job interview, at the this and at that, they have the manners. They shake hands. If they're going to wear a suit and tie, it's straight and they look good. And just that they're out making the impact that they need to make, for themselves. But the second that manifestor needs to inform on something, they know, hey, I did my time in manners jail. So here I'm informing you, and go ahead.
Oh, so Dan, I know manifesting generators, they're still under the umbrella as a generator, but I know they do have quality.
Generator.
So does that kind of come out though for manifesting generators to
different
inform also? No,
I mean, they can start. Well, they inform through their actions, through their responses are the informing. Their response to each and everything. You're still going to always ask parents have to get good at forming yes, no questions. Hey, did you like that? Did that seem like what you want to do? You know, that like you were talking about you had with Thatcher one day. He was all mad and you were like, well, do you like being mad? And he was like, no. I was like, well, so I forgot you had done a couple of, you as mom intuitively knew a few things to ask in the moment. And you said his whole level came way down. Whereas before you would always ask, well, Thatcher, that's, you know, it's obviously you can't be mad at them now. You're all the way over here. And you were trying to convince him of something.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to like logically explain like why he was acting was, you know, wasn't making sense or wasn't worth it, you know, but it just wasn't working. He just got more upset. But the more I asked yes, no questions, he
came right down.
Yes, he was able to respond and it just calmed him down really, really fast. I also feel like it helped validate him, how he was feeling inside. And so, because I'm a projector mom, right? So I'm always asking.
Let me interrupt for a second. So there is Thatcher. You were right at the precipice of what sure was to be up to and including a 15 to 20 minute tantrum. Could have gone that way, right? Period.
Oh yeah.
You could have gone south fast, right? Car wreck coming. Uh-oh. You know, duck, right? Here comes the tsunami. And so now just listen to Savannah's testimony. Inside of, if you started asking questions, I would guess this all happened and he wound down within 18 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, it did. It calmed him down way, way, way faster. And I feel like it's hard. You have to be like more consciously aware of like, okay, wait, well, stop. Like, what am I asking my child to do? But it also makes me think of projector children. I mean, I don't have any projector children, but I, grew up as a projector, and I've heard them say like invite the projector to share when they're a little child. And
and as an infant, it's invite the projector with your aura. Invite them to penetrate to your identity with your aura. You come right in front of them. Hi, honey. You just hi, honey, and just that one thing invites them. They'll reach their hand out. Okay, now you can play with them. They look away because they're doing something else. Leave them alone. They didn't require your invitation right now. It's just you watch them. They tell you what they need. Don't put them on your time frame. That's why I went wrong on a couple instances when I was being a parent. I tried to put kids on my thing. Big mistake.
I've also heard projectors, they love to be seen and recognized. And I know sometimes, like as projector children, we can feel like we don't matter or not seen. I mean, maybe that's because I grew up in a big family, right? But I also have an open throw in my chart, which the not self theme is wanting to get attention, right? So I know for me as a child, I would be really annoying. And so I could get that attention and that recognition as a projector. And I know
how would a parent deal with that?
Yeah, I feel like
let's think about how would a parent deal with that.
Say what?
This is a great example. Let's think of how a parent would deal with that. My projector child has an open throat, and they're attracting. They keep trying to attract attention, and you can tell they don't feel good. I don't feel good. Something's amiss. Something's wrong because the kid's trying too much because we're giving too little. You got to look at the equation that's going on. That kid now hasn't been invited to enough things. During the invitation, mom and dad will intuitively know to say, "Here's your body graph, honey. See the open throat right here." Sometimes you feel pressure, like you want to attract stuff. Does it feel like you want to get heard? Well, if no one's listening to you at that moment, then that's not the right place for you a little bit. And start talking to the child in age-appropriate language that the parent would intuit in that moment is the thing.
We have Christopher Holland. He asked the question, I knew you were going to come around to it. What about projector children like myself? And it's hitting him, allowing him to reflect.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, because like when I was little, my open throat, I wasn't getting that attention and that recognition. And so I would just annoy my parents and my parents would just blow up at me. Right. So then that would make me feel like, oh, they don't love me. They don't. So I know as projectors, we can struggle with feeling loved and feeling valued and seen. And so I've heard them say, if you have a projector child, like, really take the time to invite them to share, like, oh, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this
What have
article?
you
Or,
noticed?
you
Will
know,
you
like,
share your thoughts with me? Yeah.
yes, inviting them to share their thoughts, because that will make them feel seen and recognized, and then thanking them for sharing what they did. That will just fill them up. Like, as a projector, that just makes you feel so special and so lit up. And so yeah, I mean, I don't have
As
any
a
projector
manifest,
children, but for me, that was huge. I feel like I would have a better just a sense of value in myself if my parents would have done that more for me. So
yeah, we'd all have a better handle on things had our parents known, and had even we known earlier. Had I known earlier, I'd have a lot better handle on things. Let me tell you.
Exactly why we're doing this show.
Well, the manifesting generator that I was growing up, thank you and stuff was like, oh yeah, you're welcome, and I didn't care. It didn't fill me up. Every once in a while, I'm sure a deep thanks of something made me feel good. I'm sure of it. Like if I worked extra hard shoveling a driveway and I got it down to the blacktop because I was obsessed with every detail, LOL. Then a compliment would have felt good. That's different, but it didn't fill me up. That kind of stuff didn't fill me up. Them leaving me alone filled me up.
because that's that in your profile, right?
Yes, that was through my profile and the fact that I have a manifesting generator connection directly from my sacral to my throat. So it meant my power needed to act now. My power always needs to act now in response to my environment. I always needed to act now in response to my environment. That's why I was pointing out. So they're really, you can't compare any of the generator types to the manifester. If in response we start doing the same thing that which the manifester is now impacting, well, then we're moving in the same direction. We can do the same thing. That's great. But the entry into those two things are two totally different mechanisms. Let your manifestor infant enter into things through like impacting you. You come up and you give the opportunity for them to impact. And if they don't want your impact, they'll tell you, even at a young age. The projector child, you come up and you give the invitation that you're willing to give of yourself to your child as a parent, and they'll feel invited or not. Maybe they don't. They might be busy mastering the system of their blocks. I don't know. They might be busy mastering the taste of their thumb. I don't know what it is, but they are mastering systems. They can't help it. It's like one after another. And generators simply gain mastery here and there as they so respond. So generators will only ever gain mastery of some things, but projectors like to literally, they're the mastery machines. Generators are mastery level by level. That's what generators are, mastery level by level. So if we enter in right as a little kid, we're going to gain mastery on that thing level by level.
I also like how human design helps us to understand our kids. Like projectors will need more rest. They'll need more time relaxing and just doing nothing, right? As opposed to like a generator child, they can go, and
no bedtime, no. What was it?
Sorry.
No nap times for generators. Don't give. If they seem tired, you can have a nap time availability. But if they're powering through nap time, don't freaking make them stop.
My son stopped taking naps. He's a manifesting generator.
Yeah.
I could never. And I stopped, forcing that on him when he never really took naps.
Well, think about it. What was the last age, Jennifer, that you practically could put him down for a nap? That essentially what?
It wasn't even at a year old.
That's too funny.
No, like he did. He stopped. It was the transition from getting him out of the night schedule to the day schedule, because he would sleep all day and was up all night.
Yeah.
But once I got him out of that one, and he would, was awake and mobile, and you couldn't get him to nap.
Yep.
Couldn't get him to nap.
Because I know generators, they have to like wear out their energy and like with exercise and things like that, so that when they go to sleep, they have to go to sleep when they're dead tired, right? Yeah. But for a projector, it's not that way, right? A projector needs to like sit in their bed, read a book.
All the other types are that way. Yeah, all the other types do about what you're saying.
Or else, I've heard it can be hard for generators, like when they're older, to be able to fall asleep at night, just because they haven't done enough like physical activity to use up all that extra energy that they have that the other non-sacral types have. So I think that's helpful to know with your kids. Like, don't try and force a projector child to go and do all these activities and all these sports, and because they're not built like a generator or a manifesting generator to do all those things. So I think that's another way that can help us support our kids and not make them be something they're not.
Think about a parent being able to strategically know, make sure the back seat folds down because halfway through the day, my kid's going to go fall asleep for a little bit. And that would be anything but a generator. That could be my manifestor kid. Manifestor kid won't ask, will just basically ask permission to be polite. I'm going to, they're going to inform. Projector kid will be like probably recognizing that they're tired and hoping that their parents recognize it too. They're looking for that recognition. And the reflector child will literally be able to just show through their aura. They'll be able to sample their way over into that car to sleep for a little bit. So,
yeah, I feel bad. Like the reflectors are so rare. Yep. It's like sometimes I feel like we don't talk on them a ton just because they are like that 1%, you know. But
I was just gonna say that Dan hadn't touched on the reflector.
Yep. Well, the reflectors are hard to read in one way because we get a lot less experience with them. It's just a matter of experience. It's like the hard piece of music while I'll play on the piano if I don't practice it, but only once in a while. That's the one that doesn't get played as well.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think they can be kind of similar to projectors in that they're very sensitive to people's energy and things like that.
They're most actually they're most reminiscent of the manifestor.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
No, and I had gone through a course a little while ago, gone through a course, and I remember that's because their aura is closest to that of a manifestor. They're not looking for that recognition. They're waiting to be energetically surprised. It's a different thing. So if you have that reflector baby, it's going to show you its surprise at every last thing. And you know what? It gives you probably the reflector and the generator baby will give you the most easiest read. The generator is just going to respond with its energy or not. And the reflector child will give you a clear signal of surprise and disappointment. So from the moment your baby is a day old, please watch for what is your child's surprise and disappointment. That seems like a pretty clear line to me. Like if you're the mom and dad, boots on the ground watching that, you're at point. No one else. Definitely not the government.
No. Isn't the reflector also like whatever mood is going on with the parent, they're going to reflect that back. So if the parent is feeling very like angry or irritated, the child will start feeling angry and irritated. Isn't that kind of how it also works?
All the way around, because their aura is sampling. It's always sampling, but it's resistant in sampling. So holding at bay on one end, sampling on the other, and many mechanisms take place at the same time, but just that's the easiest keynote, resisting and sampling at the same time. So it's actually hard to break through a reflector's aura. In reality, if they don't want you in, you can't get in. They're not like a generator or even a projector. The projector wants the attention because that's recognition. The generator and the projector are really meant to, be together as the union of partnership more so than anything. But it's just the reflector and the manifestor are very much, they have a lot in common. Jen, that's one of the reasons. As soon as you kept being so drawn to Nate and wanting Nate to have his input, I immediately thought, yeah, that is a normal enough thing. It's normal enough because you guys are more similar than you are to, even though energetically you're more similar to a generator in a lot of ways and so forth, but aura-wise.
Because doesn't the reflector have a very protective aura? They say like a Teflon aura.
Yeah, it's like Teflon.
Really let people in, and it just samples the outside of people's
right,
aura.
and you can't get back at them if they stop sampling. You can't have them. That's very much like what a manifestor will do. Hey, I let you in a little bit. Shields up. You can't have me.
But the reflector is mirroring back to us its environment, right? So I know reflectors, it's really important, like their physical environment. Like, does it feel good to them? Because if it doesn't, then they need to change things up or find like a different room.
That's why we want to keep this going for a little while, I would think, because next week I should have some advanced imagery charts where we can actually see what's the dietary regimen and the environment for that child.
Yes.
Environment is less important than the dietary regimen at the beginning of life, because, and plus not everyone will have the ability to alter the environment to actually be what it is, but at least you can know it because they're going to need to have it.
Because isn't it like one environment, like an example would be the cave, right?
Yep.
So those people like to feel like in a safe and closed place, right?
Yep.
And then isn't it like kitchen? That's where there's lots of traffic and lots of people.
There's
Can you
traffic
kind of
and
like
there's synthesis in the kitchen. There is mutation. There's things being made. That's what kitchens is all about. It's about a laboratory. Things are being made. There's synthesis, there's mutation, adaptation. You're making something. You're cooking something up. You know, and
okay.
then
Isn't there like tropical or something like that? Can you?
There's one that's the 6 environments are caves, marketplaces, kitchens, shores is number 6, mountains, valleys.
Okay.
Shores, mountains, valleys.
That has gone way over the head of what y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like the type of environment that's best for you, that you like, that like nourishes you?
It's what I promised I would look up, Jen.
Huh?
It's what I promised you I would look up.
Okay.
But then doesn't it also go into like textures? They will tell you like, oh, your child does better with like crunchy textures or like soft textures. Like my son, Ashton, he's very sensitive to, like, I swear all he eats is like bread is like soft or crunchy. Like he can't eat meat because the texture, I don't know if it's like a sensory thing, but I've always been curious to know, like, to dive deep into the tone. Is that right?
Listen, let's bring your children. Let's do your children next week.
Because like we've tried to get them to eat different. Yeah, I'd be up for that.
The Savannah show.
Sorry,
the Savannah's kids show.
Take over it, but I've always been curious to see if there was a connection there for like why he eats the way he does. And
guys, we're going to be learning this together.
Yeah, I think that's important. It'll actually show the parents that are watching, you know, how they can do this and go about it with their children. I think it's you have young kids, Savannah. Mine's 17. It's, you know.
It's too late. Kids on their own.
So I'm looking at other things in his charts for different reasons. But no, I think that this is important. And when I learned about the food, being a manifester, I am putting that, you know, I went back and started analyzing in my life. Like, I think one of my dietary things is that I can eat the same thing over and over and over again, and I don't get tired of it. And I do that. I'll get on a regiment where I like it. I mean, I like a variety of stuff, but, you know, incorporating that into my world or my life right now has helped. So getting them to do it when they're younger is better.
There's so many aspects we'll get into, like how a parent can recognize that their child is off their dietary regimen, because they'll move into what's called a transference.
Yes.
I don't need to go into all of what that is, but listen, we've learned enough design concepts already. So if I'm calling it a transference, chances are it's a mechanic with a little bit of explanation. Suspend disbelief for a moment, you'll get it, and it's not going to be that super complicated. They'll go into a transference. We go into transference. We can see it. For us, it's complicated because we're conditioned, but you can see it easily. It's not that complicated. It really isn't.
Because I've heard some people, like, it will tell you in their chart whether they would do better with like drinking cold things, like a cold smoothie is really good for them. I think for mine, it was hot. I actually hate cold things. So I actually like drinking hot teas and things like that. And so because that's good for me, is that hot. I can't remember what the name of it is. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dan?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's called thirst.
There you go. Okay.
The name of that color is thirst.
They can tell you that?
Yes.
Okay, I do not like ice in my drink.
Same.
My sister thinks it's crazy.
Jennifer, when we get off, we have to look up your chart when we get off.
I don't like cold things. I never have. Even like, you know, I drink sodas. I don't anymore, but I don't like them cold. I would drink them right out of the box, and people are like, oh my God, that's a hot. And I'm like, I don't like ice.
Right.
Same. I wonder if we have the same tone or whatever.
Well, when we get off, I'm gonna let Dan look at it and we'll see. So that's
it's the advanced imagery, and I haven't used it up to this point because I like the simple view for people. It's already not simple. You know what I mean?
I know we're going into advanced techniques.
When you see the advanced view, you'll be like, "Oh, that's less simple." All right.
Well, that's why I love human design, because it's so layered. It's like, okay, what's your type? Then what's your profile? Then what are your channels? Then what are your, it's just so layered, so deep, and you can go as far as you want to go to help like understand yourself and support yourself. And so I think it's fun and interesting and fascinating. Maybe that's just the projector in me. I don't know.
Mastering systems, Savannah, you can't help it. You recognize the good things. That's for dang sure. So
yes, and even behind the scenes, like all three of us working together and everyone else, I can start to see how our designs, it all comes together.
Well, we keep being what we are, and it starts to work. And absolutely, no, I totally get it. So, wrapping up with children and why to get your child read, A, to help get through to you so that you'll understand what's the scoop with it, and then B, for them far more than for you. They're the ones that have to live the longer life than you do. So set them out right. We don't want them with the same chips on their shoulder that we have. And I defy the audience, or I defy anybody to show up and tell me I don't have any chips on my shoulder about anything. I haven't met one yet. Yep, give me the chart of the Yogi Berra. Let him tell me that, and then I'll tell him what his chip is. And he'll thank me.
Real quick, guys, I'm going to show you parents exactly how to go about pulling a chart. First and foremost, please, you can always check the link down below. Book a session with Dan for yourself, for your child, for your children. He is phenomenal. But if you're interested in learning how to pull your own chart, you can go to Jovian
Yep.
Archive. This link right here that's showing on the screen, you're going to go down to get your free chart. I will do
let's pull up a chart.
We're going to do, what's today?
Instead of today, can we do a different day? It's the 5th. Yeah, no, stay with the 5th, and then the month, give the month August.
Oh, wait.
2015.
Okay.
Pick a time and a place.
12. We'll do it's USA.
Yep.
We'll do Connecticut.
Space, Texas. So you see what we're doing? We're putting in a thing, and look at the how it works for the time. She put in 12 noon, so 12:12.
Yes, this is military time, guys.
So at 1 p.m. it won't be 12; it'll be 13. At 9 p.m. it'll be 7. At 7 p.m. it'll be 1900 hours. And then the format for USA space, and then the state.
And then calculate. And here is your chart.
Wow. So, by the way, I picked this time out of the blue. We got a lot of child here. So if this is your kid born, what was that? The date was August 5th, right?
2015.
Yep. Somewhere in Texas, right? Houston, Texas at 12:12 in the afternoon. So look at what we got here. We've got a manifesting generator. So now we know that your kid has got to go and burn on until their energy runs out. Stop trying to put rules on them that make it so that doesn't happen. Now you know this kid doesn't have an emotional definition. That means his inner authority is his sacral. He doesn't, there is no time waiting for this child to give its response. That's true in the moment for it. There's no emotional wave for this child to wait out to find out its truth. Now you can know this child likes to do shocking things, and they're a single definition. So they're fast. They're just fast. And they'll do anything. They just want it fast. They like to hurry up.
Yeah, they have that channel of shock, or like they call it like the shaman channel.
The channel of initiation, 5125, the channel of initiation. Yeah.
I have that one.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And so that just, it means they wish to initiate the all spark in their life to leap into something. and not to worry, they're going to get caught. The AllSpark seems to always get caught. So that's what I call the channel of initiation. It contains the fire that becomes that AllSpark that basically breathes life into the being through this channel of initiation, and then down through the centering circuit.
I've heard some people say it's like you're forced to be spiritual or something. It's like you have these shocking experiences that push you to turn to like spirit, source, or whatever you want to call it. I think people explain it that way. Is that how you've heard it, Dan?
Well, yes, because all of humanity is designed to turn in towards spirit somewhere along the way. And if they think they're not turning into spirit, what they're turning into is their adversarial relationship with turning into spirit. So they're still with spirit. They're either with the spirit or actively working on not being with the spirit. In all ways, it's yin and yang of the same coin, heads and tails of the same coin. So humanity is designed to do that, especially this being, because second line profiles bring the need for a greater spirituality larger than what the logical context demands. The logical context of any situation demands X, Y, and Z. And even if you're trying to have an experience, you only need X, Y, and Z. But all second line profile lines demand that we find the actual, the spirit and the spirituality of what is the scoop, even if that means they're an atheist. You know, spiritually speaking, I'm a giant nihilist and I deny it all. It's still something. It's the yin and yang of that coin. That's brought to us by this second line, which resonates to this color we call hope. The color of hope on this planet is, sometimes it feels very low, but it's the thing we want the fullest. Every human wants to feel hopeful. It's just a thing. That's not an accident. That's genetic. You know, genetic selection said, hey, let's make it be this way because it makes the humans do cool things. It's this 6-2 profile. So what this child is going to be a trial and errorist in the first 30 years of its life before it gets subjective and goes up onto the roof to sort of be a lot more objective. So it's going to start out its life as a 3-2. That's what happens with the 6 line. The 6 line has a 3-part life cycle, unlike all the other lines. Jen, you came out of 5, you are a 5, you were always a 5. I came out of 2, I'm always a 2. You know, Savannah, you came out an investigator, you'll always be investigating stuff and wanting to build that foundation that way. When the 6 line comes out, it comes out into the martyr, the sustain, where their creative effort is their ability to sustain. Sustaining at things is where they are most creative. And it's also an anarchist. It's going to tear stuff down. That's its natural role as it is in interaction with the other. And then its role in openness to the other, as it relates to its openness, that anarchist becomes the person that they know they have to listen, but what they listen to isn't any good, and suddenly they become pessimistic. You can't let this kid think pessimism is anything other than a guide by which to steer. You can't let them live it as a way of life. So this, just in all of this, if your kid was born anywhere around this time, now you know a bunch of stuff for him. You know, and you can literally be like, oh my God, does that apply to my kid? That's right. I can't stop my child. This kid is incredibly enthusiastic in the moment. He's unhelped. He can't even help it. He wants to stimulate you with a story that he thinks he's about to tell you. And it's all creative stuff. And if you slow his roll, he's going to lose his story. If you slow his roll and make him go back and enter the house, right, and take his shoes off and say, ma'am, yes, ma'am, and thank you, please, and ask him, did you get your homework done before you tell me what you're about to tell me? All these things that the parent thinks they want to do, you've just ruined that kid's story, and now that whole day is less productive for that child. This child needs to run in and run out like a freaking hurricane. That's what they need to do. This is a crossfire hurricane right here. All that tantric energy and that unique expression. We have 2 channels of individuality here. See that, Jen, going right up the center?
These 2?
There are 2 individual channels. That means this child has all the things we talked about in the individual way. You know, the big keynotes are individuality, right? It's their mood, not yours. They're in it or they're not in the mood. They feel like it or they don't feel like it. All their creativity comes in a pulse. You can't plan it. It's not up to you. And so if their creativity's coming out and it's 1 PM and you think it's nap time, it's no longer nap time. Or squish the kid's truth. Take your choice. For the sake of a rigid nap time, sorry, the pulse came. Individuality brings mutativeness. It brings change. And so these are all things you can understand about the individual way. It's so unique that it looks like it's too different. Oh my God, my kid might be being too different. No, it's their extreme uniqueness coming out. And for this kid, it's a connection from the sacral through his identity to his throat. So the kid's going to speak what he's excited about, and he's going to have loads of talent, and he's constantly growing a well of depth. And guess what? Just to be in the experience, he'll say yes to almost anything. And just to do something shocking, he'll say yes to almost anything. And let me look at where that gate 51 is. You know what? Maybe a little less so. That gate 51 is in a 6 line. I have to look at that. But still, it's still there. And where's that 25? I'm looking down the right-hand side. 25.5. Oh, yeah, no, that's lower than south node. So this kid is universalizing what is it that he's willing to be shocking on. But anyways, there's a lot to be said and with this channel of initiation, always wanting to leap into the thing and then to tell you all about it. Here's a kid that won't not tell you stuff. All you got to do is let him and not punish him. If you don't punish this kid, he'll tell on himself for everything. Yeah.
That's what every parent wants to know.
Yeah. But you can't punish them for it. And the last thing I would say about this child is unconsciously their defined ego. They have gate 21. They will need a certain amount of control over their own environment. They will need a certain amount of control over the love of their environment.
That's my little Thatcher. I have a lot of experience with gate 21.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you work with that, right?
It could be like freezing outside, snow, and I'd be like, Thatcher, go get your coat, and he's like, no, it has to be like his idea, like what he's doing, and so gate 21 can be kind of hard when you have kids that have that gate.
Now there comes a time when the parent has to override that, I guess, and put the coat on the kid. I'm sure you're watching closely now, and there's a moment where you're looking for, blue fingers and blue lips, but you got to let them find out the hard way. You got to let them find out the hard way.
That's what I figured out is like, I can't, like, it's just this big battle and this fight. If I try and like get in this power struggle with them, a lot of times that's like, okay, well, just learn through your experience and then you'll understand like, oh, I freeze if I don't bring my coat. And so that's kind of what we've evolved to. Which is
they
just
come into the house and you'll be like, shake them a little. What's wrong, honey? Is that core temperature dropping a little?
Essentially, yeah.
Is that exciting? Huh? You like that?
Yeah. I feel like it's hard, like when you have kids that have some of those channels or gates that has like a control element to it. It can
those
be
are
hard.
the ego gates. Those ego gates are on fire. They're hot. There's nothing cool about the ego. The ego's hot, and it's hot in a good way. We need it. It heats things up. We need that thing. So that gate 21, I would look at that just so that you start to realize what that's going to look like for you. And it comes out of a tunnel. It comes out unconsciously. And if you want to see the actual cognitive development of this child, we need only look towards. Yeah, can I show you guys a trick?
Yes, let's see it. Is it the arrows near the head? It
has something to do with the arrows, but it's look at the nodes, the north and south node on the right hand side and on the left hand side.
I can't see, it's too small.
Okay, well, it's the nodes are 46 and 25, line 5.
These?
Do you see that, Jennifer?
Right here? What are you looking
node,
right
now? The south node is number 25.
Yes.
Okay, gate 25.5. So without looking up what the dot 5 is specifically, it's the universalization of universality of love. So basically, the love of all things, this is something that needs to be universalized for this child. Their cognitive development will follow a path that loosely conforms, and always, but loosely conforms to gate 25, moving to the left and up to gate 48. Picture the nodes were the only things you could see. You could draw a crisscross between them. You could make the south node on the left to the north node on the right, and do the same thing from the right to the left, and you'd make a little X, a long looking X. Do you see that? So from the personality south node to the design north node. You look at those two gates and their lines, and suddenly you find what the mental, cognitive, neural development path of this kid over their lifetime is going to be.
Oh wow! So you look at the line, because in the 5, that's like always the charming, charismatic. We're always attracted.
Yes. So the universalization of universal love as a kid, as that's going on, that's going to bring in all the stuff that this child needs to learn to investigate its depth. That's how this child's mind is going to constantly read a book. That's how this kid's mind is going to be in existence in each class. They're going to be going from one to the other. They want the depth. And as they get older and older, their life's path takes them from that universal love being universalized to the introduction of their own depth. And it's in centers that are defined so they can experience it. This is a very powerful piece of definition here. It's just another way to read things that are in the chart. Like the life path is the X on the other side. So these are things that we give to the parent so that they can see from a young age. With us, when we see it, we look at our own and we look back and we say, oh yeah, that is how it went. And but we're looking at retrospect. Now you can see it in the future. This is as close to fortune telling as you can get without actually being able to fortune tell. I mean, you can't tell down to the minutia what the kid's going to do tomorrow. What you can know is that they are away, and it won't be a surprise when they are that way tomorrow and the next day and for the rest of the time. But we don't want to get too complicated with parents. Generator, ask this kid yes, no questions from the moment they come into the world. Offer them their food. If they spit it out, they don't like it. Find something else. We'll go over their dietary regimen later. Yes, let them find toys and stuff from a young age that they can just smash on and pound on. They'll master a system or 2 or 3 or 4 on their own, level by level, as time goes by. This is a manifesting generator. When they get into school, don't tell them they have to go by the numbers. They don't want to paint by numbers. They want to skip ahead. Let them freaking skip ahead. Find the teachers that will let them skip ahead so that you can see where is it that they're going. Always ask them, do they want to do this? Is this something they feel like doing? Do you like it? And every conflict they ever have can be resolved with, do you like the conflict? You ask them the yes, no question, and suddenly they'll start answering their own questions, just like Savannah had pointed out. And last of all, let the kid go fast. He likes to go fast, or she likes to go fast. They want to be fast. And have Band-Aids handy, because he's got the channel of initiation. He or she will see their share of blood. Skin, knees, this, that, the other things,
Yeah, I know manifesting generator children. Sometimes they can be made to feel bad because they're always skipping steps and they like to rush kind of through things, or they jump from like hobby to hobby to, and sometimes they're made to feel bad about that. But what I love about human design, it's like, nope, like that's actually your gift and your superpower. Like, stop beating yourself up. And because I've talked to some people for that, and they were like, oh, I have to change this about myself. I hate this about myself, and I'm like, no. Like, this is your, this is your gift. This is your superpower, or like, this is how you are hardwired to be, and stop fighting that and embrace it. And
think about the kid. Think about the kid when they were super little and they quit building one thing and started digging something else. Did we call that quit? Yeah,
people make them feel like, oh, you don't finish stuff. Like, oh, that's bad about you, but
trip on them.
So being a parent, you can actually be like, that's totally okay. Like, nothing's wrong with you. Just keep going. It's like, that's what I think is so awesome about human design is it's going to help us like love ourselves and like empower our children and help them to love themselves so that they can have like the most success in their life.
Think about what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. In one example, like you're saying, the person that thought they needed to change that in themselves, in one example, they think they're a quitter, which was installed in them, conditioned into them. And in the other example, if they're just ask their 5-year-old, the 5-year-old would say, I didn't quit, I stopped. What the hell?
Yeah.
I stopped. Hey, we stop at stop signs. Why don't I just run right through? I stopped. I felt like it.
Yeah, and I feel also like if you have this information about human design, you're gonna instill in your child to trust themselves, right? Because I feel like so many times we like that actually gets conditioned out of us, to trust ourselves and
Right.
just trust the authority figure or just do what I say, But with human design, it teaches you to like trust that 5-year-old gut response that you have as a child, and you can take that into your life when you're older. And because when we do follow that inner guidance that we have within, that human design teaches us to do, that's when we're going to have the most success in our life and in our relationships. And so like seriously, like I feel like human design is such a powerful tool to help us to be happy and help us to succeed in our lives. And it's really great when we can give that to our children so that they don't have to go through the deconditioning process like we're all having to do like as
It's
adults,
a
which
pain
can
in
be
the ass. Oh my God. Right?
really hard.
Like, come on, guys. Again? Jennifer and I have an open root. And so it's like, oh, I feel under pressure.
So do I. I have an open route too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You have an open route too.
Yes.
I have
Dang
been
open
working on that this week. It's not my pressure. When
Not
it
my
comes
pressure.
up, I keep saying it's not my pressure. It's not my pressure.
Well, you two
And
guys are the
what-
big egos in the room. I got no ego, so I got nothing to prove. Trying to internalize that.
I have a defined ego.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. So anyways, I love this discussion. This is so fun. I love talking about the kids and how we can impact the younger generations and help them to have the best lives that they can with the least amount of heartache and struggle.
Let's bring your kids on next week. And you're exactly right, Savannah. Let's start pulling up the charts of your kids so we can have the mother's input at the same time we're looking at the stuff.
Absolutely. I think that that's important and great to end and wrap up the show.
Yep.
Because again, it's all about the kids and it's setting these foundations. And you touched on school earlier, and I feel like a lot of people are going either more the homeschool route. They're pulling them out of these
god awful institutions of hell.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I think that was a lot nicer way than what I would have put it, but it is getting the important information out, and I really like the way that we are redirecting, especially the Sunday show. So thank you, Savannah, for doing that and wanting to bring your kids on. And parents out there, if you want more information, please, again, reach out to us, reach out to Dan, get their charts read, get your chart read. And this is how we're going to pave the new world.
Yeah. Paving it this way, dude. One stone at a time.
One stone at a time.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
All right. With that, thank you, everybody who joined. Do you have anything else that y'all would like to add before I close up?
I'm all good.
No, loved it. Thanks for chatting, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Savannah, for joining. Love having you on
Savannah.
here.
Love you.
For those of you who watched, thank you for tuning in. We didn't get through all the comments, but I do appreciate you chiming in. Please make sure if you know somebody that would be interested in human design or would like to know more about their child, send this information to them. Get them in touch with Dan. We would love to read for them. Y'all know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the channel.
Pass it around. Pass it around.
Pass it around. And as always, check us out. We have a couple of things going on. Like I said at the beginning, we have Human Design Advantage gear, and there are other ways. This helps monetize our show, guys. This is what helps keep us going. So little self promo there.
Yep.
But with that, we hope you have a beautiful Sunday.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.